I am in no mood to be in this dank cellar, but the call had drawn me here. As I approached, my flashlight revealed the silhouette of an adolescent girl, laying on her side, her body exposed, her hands in prayer. The smell purged through me again. I began to choke on the air. If not for the writing on the wall, I may have choked out. In blue chalk was written, "Help me." My legs began to burn, and looking down, I could feel hundreds of fleas crawling up my pant leg. I wanted to run outside and light my legs on fire to kill the vermin, but I stayed with her. Began to wring my pants down across my legs to stop the biting. Over and over, my hands worked up and down until I could stand it. Instinctively, I took some latex gloves out of my pocket and began to process the introducing of my notebook to the crime scene. Normally, I would call this in, but questions would arise as to how I happened to be here. The skull was caved in, and long shards of hair protruded through the mouth and settled in the dried blood. Based on the number of maggots, and knowing they first appear within 24 hours, she had been dead at least 72. I want to touch her to determine the extent of rigor, but I'm afraid her extremities might come off like well-done chicken falling off the bone. The remaining fingernails on her hands are clean, indicating he took his time with her. We call this primp and pose. The perp cleans and sometimes dresses the victim in some macabre ritual. 90% of the time this occurs, there is sexual violation. The other 10% are worse. They are labeled trophy killers and amuse themselves much like a taxidermist. Killing and preserving is their only motivation. A lot of them hide the victim and return multiple times to examine and relive the exhilaration of the kill. This world can be a sick place, and the devil himself rides a rush of evil creatures that congregate in it. Kneeling, you can see pale blue eyes through the matted hair, and imagine how pretty and sweet she must have been. Pale skin, full lips, little sugar bowl ears. A tiny green stone remains intact in the lobe. She is somebody's darling. But now it's one less seat at the dinner table, another empty bed, an uncrowned prom queen with no opportunity to break a young man's heart. Something occurs to me. When examining the remains of the dead, no matter how long you've been on the job, there's a sense of well-being, almost happiness that you are alive. This also occurs when attending a eulogy or walking through a graveyard. They call it the tranquility effect, a stimulus of the brain's endorphins created by being alive in the presence of death. I am feeling it now. Total, unadulterated peace. There is no one on earth sharing this moment with her, except me. It's amazing how well the hair holds up in these circumstances. It still has sheen and texture. In 1871, they moved President Lincoln's body for reburial at the monument site. They reported that his beard had grown 3 inches. Life goes on after death, the papers reported. But science rebutted it as only a wives' tale. In reality, the skin is receding from the face and fingers, making it appear to be growing. As I examined the body, I'm reminded of a girl I once knew that went missing back when I was in junior high. The body had been discovered by some Boy Scouts camping down by the inlet. One of those scouts snapped a photo and later charged $1 a head to look at it. I remember how badly the body was decomposed. Her skin looked like an overripe banana, and her chest was sunken in on itself. The extremities were swollen like a plumped hot dog. The two things that stood out to me were her beautiful brown hair and a pair of saddle shoes laying next to her in pristine condition. I think it was then I thought about entering law enforcement, and I've never forgot her, even after all these years. I am puzzled by the words, "help me." Was it a note for anyone that found her? Had she been a prisoner in this rat-infested basement? 2 toes on her shoeless foot were chewed off by the rats. Part of her lip and eyelid were also missing. The fleas had left her in peace once their food source had expired. Most of the nails on her lower hand were chewed to bits. The exposed brain matter had been eaten back through the denuded skull. Even in all this, she has a quiet beauty to her. Standing to call it in. Don't go. You only just got here. I have things to say. I've been waiting for you. I wanted to look nice, but you're so damn late.